You are watching a Fact TV presentation of the town of Swansea.
August 14th meeting of the Planning Board here at Whitcomb Hall. Beginning with the roll call, Scott Self, I am here. Michael York.
Here.
Richard Lane.
Here.
Brandon Self.
Here.
Victoria Ames.
Here.
Mark Scalera.
Here.
Jane Johnson, alternate. Not here. Stacy Goodell, alternate.
Here.
And vacant alternate, still vacant. And selectmen's rep. Mark is here, okay. So,
Sorry, what was the other alternate? Is there any-
vacant, I mean, we have a vacancy there. No, we have a vacancy there. so-
Vacant's not
so
here.
vacant is no.
He was hoping John would say here or something, I don't know.
So the agenda this evening is, we have a approval of the minutes of the July 24th, 2025 meeting.
You want the regional impact?
Pardon me?
Regional impact first, or,
Yeah, we'll have regional impact, correct, yep.
okay.
And we have number 3, public hearings, Planning Board 25-013, Asher Construction Site Plan Review. Asher Construction has submitted a site plan review application proposing a gravel parking area and flex space at tax map 209, lot 4. Subject property is in the Industrial Park District. And then under discussions and other business, we have other business as required. So, going to the top of the order again, regional impact.
I'll make a motion that there's nothing on tonight's agenda that requires a regional impact.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Michael York, seconded by Brandon, that nothing on tonight's agenda requires us to alert the surrounding towns. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? And that's done. Approval of the minutes of July 24th, 2025. We have a motion to approve those minutes.
Correction.
Let's get the motion down. We used to do it that way before, but our last minute taker changed it. She said she was doing it the rest, so we have a motion first and a second, then in the discussion period, we change it. You want to make a motion to approve the minutes? Because you're probably going to make a change, right? I know what
Correct.
change you're going to make.
Yeah. Okay, I'll make a motion to,
Okay, motion by Richard to approve the July 24th minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mark. Is there any further discussion or changes? Richard?
changes, yes.
Yes.
Under the page, whatever, 2 or 2, under the motion by Brandon, I did not second that motion.
Right, and it was Michael York, I think that's.
I believe so.
wasn't it?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
Okay, where's that?
Did you find it?
Granting the waivers? Is that on page 2, first?
Top,
No.
top paragraph. Motion by B. Self.
On page 2, about the 4th line down, where it says motion,
By B. Self.
Oh, Lisa, okay, got it.
And it said, it should say York seconded.
Oh, I see, okay, sorry. Thank you.
and one other change, and that would be under discussions and other business A, and there's a dot with B3. It says Chair Self described the concern he had with this section because it takes away from the property owner's land, whereby it takes away from the property owner's land rights, the rights of the property owner, not the land. They retain the land, but it's their property rights that I object to being taken away.
Property owners' rights,
I should say property's rights, yeah, property rights.
B3,
That's correct, yes.
Second
Yep.
rights, okay.
Anything else from anybody? Then, all those in favor of approving the minutes with those changes indicate by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? And we can move on. And that brings us to public hearings, Planning Board 25-013, that's Asher Construction Site Plan Review. Asher Construction has submitted a site plan review application proposing a gravel parking area and flex space at tax map 209, lot 4. Subject property is in the Industrial Park District. And we can go through the checklist, if you don't mind, to make sure the application is complete.
For the record, John Noonan with Fieldstone Lane Consultants, here on behalf of Asher Construction. So the plat submission checklist, we have name and address of owner listed on our title block, tax map, and lot number listed in the here. Vicinity sketch, we have up in the upper right-hand corner, the vicinity sketch, name and address of all abutting landowners. So we have the abutting landowners shown down the lot. Physical features and the use of land within 200 feet of the site. So on Safford Drive, we're showing the properties, the buildings that are next to it. Some of the other areas that are abutted, are not developed, but we're showing Cheshire Fairgrounds and the Clearwater Pool areas here and the highways. Perimeter boundary lines and the lot area in square feet and acreage. So we're showing the boundary lines highlighted here in orange, acreage and square feet. The shape, size, height, location, and use of existing structures on the site and those that are proposed. So we're showing our proposed, there are no existing features on this, or no existing buildings on the site. Location, name, and widths of any existing and proposed roads on the property. So there's no proposed road, but we have Safford Drive, paved 30 feet, over here is Route 12, Manhattan Highway. And we have a driveway, we don't have a road into the site, but it's 25 foot width. Identification of access to the site and public street, site to safe distance from access points, curb cuts, and proposed changes. So we're showing the proposed access here with a stop bar and a stop sign. And then location and number of parking spaces and loading spaces. So we have shown in front of each of the units parking spaces and then longer spaces for trucks or trailers on this end and this end of the building. And then we have our ADA spaces and smaller parking spaces that were in this area in between the buildings. The landscape plan, so we have a separate plan for landscaping. Sheet 6, I believe. Lighting, landscape plan, so sheet 7 of 10. Location, type, and nature of all existing and proposed lighting. So we have the proposed lighting plan, there are no existing lights on the site, but we have building mounted lights along the front at each garage door. Natural features such as water bodies, ledge outcropping, wetlands, etc. So we have the wetlands here. Highlighted here. So this is the wetlands downhill, coming from the fairgrounds, and they ultimately flow to the west. And existing and proposed grades and topographic contours at 5 foot intervals or less. We have a grading plan that shows proposed contours with the darker contours with the lighter gray. The ash are the existing contours on site. Size and accurate location of all existing proposed water mains, culverts, fire hydrants, and fire ponds. So we have a utility plan that shows the location of the sewer, water in Safford Drive that comes around, and overhead electric on the site, and then proposed underground utilities on site. Means of providing water supply, so they're going to be tying in off of Safford Drive. There's a stub, existing surface stop here, and they tie off of that property. And then sewer as well, pump off to a clean out the sewer. Surface drainage patterns, so we show on the grading plan, directional flow away from the buildings into the low points where our catch basins are. Copy and certification of licensed septic designer we've called as not applicable, as this is going to be on municipal sewer. Location, proposed on-site well showing 75-foot radius. Again, that's there's no proposed well. We're showing where we're going to tie into the water on municipal water. Soil survey data from Cheshire County Soils. So that's shown on the grading plan and on our existing conditions as well. Soils legends, numbers, and soils. And location of any existing or proposed easements, deed restrictions, and or covenants. So based on the survey, there is no deed restriction on
thank you. Anybody have any questions on the completeness of the application?
Make
If
a
not-
motion that we move and say the application's complete.
Motion by Mark to accept the application as complete and move forward to public hearing. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Brandon. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? All right, we are going right to public hearing. I'm going to open up the public hearing, and before you make your presentation, so we've seen and approved this site plan. I know you weren't here, Mark, but we've seen and approved this site plan, and all the stuff that we've approved remains approved. The only thing that we're looking at is that modification that these guys are doing on that gravel parking area, and the reason we want them in here is because we want to make sure that it's set forth as to what they're gonna be doing there, what they're gonna store there, how they're gonna be using that piece. That's why we had them come in. So, public hearing is open. Make your presentation, thanks.
Thank you. So, as the chair has mentioned, this area over here with the 3 buildings, parking area, that was all pre-approved. There's no changes to this portion of the site. We have a crossing here of the wetlands, which we've applied to the Wetlands Bureau for the crossing. We're crossing out with the culvert. And the addition for the site plan coming back is we've added a gravel parking lot over in this area. So ultimately, when we initially asked last month was for this to be heard as a site plan modification. It was to ensure that, come back so that you can limit what's stored over here, and to make sure that it meets parking lot regulations. Because it's an unstriped site, what we've done is shown our landscaping that remains up near the highway, and then we've added trees along the perimeter. In case vehicles are parked this direction or this direction, this would be considered the perimeter of the parking lot. This is all woods in a large portion down here, so there's nothing plantings down there. Our proposed edge of trees, basically the top of the bank and just at the edge of the property line here. This drops down probably a good 15 feet to where the gravel elevation is for the parking lot to Safford Drive, so this sits below the road quite a bit. So there'll be the trees left along the road at the top, and then these trees will fill in down towards the bottom as you look down, but there is no potential of headlights creeping into, shining into Safford Drive. Safford Drive is much higher than that.
I think it's actually 24 feet. isn't it?
It's quite, yeah, it's,
I mean, according to the lines, the elevation lines.
yes, our lowest grade here, are basically where we're at 610 here, and we're at 636, so it's 26 feet in the lowest portion. And then it comes up here, so it is less.
So when you're on the road and you look across at the trees that you're planting, we'll be looking, it'll be a while, eventually we'll be looking across at the balls
Right,
of the trees.
you'll have trees between the road and the property, and then the grade will drop down, and then the trees will be along the edge
The
of the
new
parking
trees
lot.
will be in there. It'll probably be at, finished height almost with some of those trees, right? From the road level.
Right, so you'd be looking to the tops of these trees. You're likely to see it the most when you come around the corner up here, right in this area, because you'd be looking diagonal.
Okay.
Those trees would be down along the edge of the gravel parking lot, and then the trees up here would be on the top of the hill.
John, so you say parking, but what are we really talking about? Are we talking about commercial trucks parking there, things of
Yes.
that nature, or?
So in talking with our client, they would like to have it open for storage, whether they park truck trailers over here. They said they would like to have, they're not planning initially, but if they had a storage, a couple of storage containers, they would like to have that approved as it not confined, that they couldn't have a storage, unit or Connex type unit placed over there.
So it'd probably be nailed down to, anything stored in there would be in something, like a container or a truck. It wouldn't be outdoor storage of loose, equipment or loose building materials or something.
Right, unless it was a non-enclosed trailer or.
Yeah, on a trailer, something like that.
Yep.
Yeah. Because I think that's what the board's concern was the last time, that there might be a bunch of material just stored on that piece of property, it would sit there like forever or something.
I think, I'm sorry.
Go right ahead,
Oh.
yeah.
I think we're also concerned about container-style storage. We would, I think consensus is we would not want to have that in there. That's one item. The other thing that I've observed being in there, you have an existing pipe underground right now that's carrying water out in front of the wetlands, about a good 20 feet in front of the existing wetland. What is that for, and where is that water coming from? Would you like me to show you?
Yeah, show us where that is.
Yeah, an existing culvert that runs.
No, it's not a culvert. You've got like a 6-inch light blue pipe, and I've tried to walk it back to find out if there's anything back here, but it comes like right across here in front of your wetland. That, like I say, it's about 20 feet out. There's a trench about 18 to 24 inches deep.
Okay.
And there's water coming down through here. Then you have your wetland back here, that's active water. And that's coming from all the way up here. You want to propose to cut through here.
Right, and install a culvert.
And then you're gonna take, and you're dropping that whole bank here. You're gonna find water underneath there.
Yeah, so this side is lower elevation than this.
Still, there's water coming down, and also, what are you going to do for retaining here? So if there's no erosion, you're putting a retaining wall in?
No retaining wall, so this is graded at 3 to 1, and then we have the detail for erosion control mat, so we would have erosion control mat on anything 3 to 1 and steeper. Yep, so which ends up being grass, is what's it.
I still have concern about that, but, this wetland area continues all the way into the tree line, which is, what you're showing
Yes.
here.
Correct.
But I want to know, what is this pipe that's in the ground now? And why is there water running through it and coming out?
That, I don't know what culvert is there, I'd have to go out and look at if they ran conduit, or if it's actually this, under drain from where the back of the building is, and it's actually out here.
But if it
Because
is,
we have this foundation reading that we run across here,
if it is,
they're running it.
you have water coming out of there now, you have nothing going on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you're going to be crossing here. Again, I have concerns about, what we're going to be doing in that wetland area, and especially with the slope and your runoff, you're not using the same runoff.
Right, so what we've done for runoff is we're directing it to a dry well over here, and then this is sloping down across here. So this is filled right here, and then the culvert through here, so the wetland will continue to drain through the culvert and down to here, and then this crossing is over the top, and this is, about 4 feet higher than the wetland is.
Have you done it? Well, I guess you can't really do it, but perhaps you have. You done any sort of test pit in there?
Say, we haven't crossed over the wetland yet
Okay.
to that side to do a
What
test.
happens if you make a test pit or for your dry well, and all of a sudden there's water?
We would raise it. We'd likely raise this grade. Right now, I mean, for our dry well, the surface of the parking lot is 7 feet higher than the wetland. Our proposed grade for the wetland.
John, so it's a gravel parking lot, but it's gonna run into that dry well, and that's because it's what? It's packed?
Right, so he's gonna do hard pack here, gravel, so it'll be compacted gravel here, and then the dry well, so everything kind of drains over to this dry well, and then seeps into the ground. The catch basin it's a, leaching catch basin, so the water goes in. They're larger than a normal catch basin
Right.
size, and there's holes around it, and we have stone around it, so it goes in and it filters out through the stone.
Well, it doesn't filter, it just is allowed to go out through the stone.
Right, so there's stone and filter fabric around it. Yep, so it'll go in, the stone allows it to slowly bleed out into the sand and gravel that they're
So, I mean, did you consider actually having a paved parking lot and really having drainage and separators in case there's oil seepage? Anytime you have commercial vehicles, you know, they have a tendency to be leaking a lot more than a car in your garage. And there's a big concern because of the wetlands there.
He specified, so our client specified he'd like to just do a gravel parking lot. So he wasn't considering doing a paved parking lot to this extent.
And are you gonna be, is he gonna be,
Most of the vehicles being used over here. And parking
will
in
he be
the
parking vehicles on there, or just storage trailers and things like
Yeah,
that?
he doesn't wanna limit it, but, I mean, it's not gonna be long-term vehicles parked over here. He was thinking that'd be overflow and in trying to market these, that they'd be able to have extra trailer space, turn, trailers around the trucks, but if they need to leave their trailer here with materials, they do.
But the ones leaking oil, he won't want on his parking lot, and he'll send them over to the gravel bed.
Well, you know, you can take a look at the parking lot after you've got something stored there, and if it's leaking, then the building inspector definitely will make them do something about it. I would certainly think.
Bring that up.
Yeah, it's one of the problems with code enforcement around here. We're so understaffed in that area, it's incredible.
True.
I guess what I'm wondering about, and this could pertain to a lot of applications that come before us, is what is flex space, you know? And to me, that feels very, very open-ended, and so we can permit you, you know, grant approval for your request to have flex space. But I think if we're gonna do that, we should be very specific as to what uses are proposed for that space, okay? I think what you're suggesting is there's gonna be you anticipate the possibility of a number of different things, but let's enumerate them, okay? And then have that as a condition of approval, so that, we know what's going in there, it's on the, you know, it's on the plan, it's in the record, and that way we know what we're talking about, because what I picture as flex space is very different, I'm sure, from what you picture as flex space.
Right, I mean, it allows for an office space, so there'll be a restroom in each one.
I'm just talking
and
about
that-
the
You mean the-
additional,
this
yes, that's the
additional
only thing we're talking about tonight, is the
see.
gravel area. Yeah.
So the
So
thing,
far I've heard truck trailers, storage containers, I'm not quite sure what a storage container means, is that like a drop-off kind of?
Yeah, it could be a drop-off, which would be like a Connex. You see the shipping containers that come in.
Okay, okay. What else are we gonna have in there then?
and possible trailers, you
Yeah,
saying tractor
trailers,
trailers?
enclosed trailers, open trailers,
Enclosed trailers, you're saying?
enclosed trailers.
Yep,
Or open trailers too, though, right? I mean, they aren't all enclosed coming.
They're not all enclosed, so I would say an
So
open
if
trailer.
open
trailers
and
as well.
enclosed, okay,
Yep. A flatbed trailer, a landscape trailer,
okay,
depending on who they rent the space to, they might
yeah.
different types of.
So, okay, so we've got open and enclosed truck trailers, storage containers, what else?
Probably overflow parking if needed, so you might have, if they had to drive a truck and trailer, they might prefer to park over there than trying to use the longer spaces here. So you could have a truck and a trailer parked there.
Overflow parking for, and what kind of trucks are these? Are these like pickups or semis or?
The site's not designed for a semi-truck, so it would either be a box truck or a pickup truck with a trailer, whether that's a
Or one ton with a
fifth
tag
wheel
along.
or a hitch trailer, and depending on the business and the vehicle.
Yeah, a lot of those businesses might have those, double axle tag-along trailers in there. And I can see them wanting to use that space to put those trailers in there, it'd be handy.
Could you see, I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
could you see construction equipment, you know, bulldozers, things like that?
I wouldn't think so, just because it doesn't seem like the site, where you can't turn a tractor trailer around, it'd be hard to bring in a bulldozer or an excavator on a bigger trailer to,
Can we make a
I guess you
condition?
could, but.
Would you be okay with us excluding that use? I would like to.
From the gravel area?
Yes,
Yeah.
okay.
Can we exclude any construction, that's what she
I
was
think
saying?
that's what Victoria just said,
Yeah, exclude any construction.
excluding the construction equipment. meaning large.
Equipment storage, right?
Large.
You wouldn't want an excavator parked there
Yeah.
long-term.
Yeah, large construction equipment such as excavators, correct, bulldozers, and things like that for long-term storage.
You gonna put like a weight restriction on that? Because what if they rent to your local landscaper guy that has a Bobcat skid steer or something like that, these guys might think that, you know, that's considered construction equipment, right?
Let's see, yeah, a weight, it'd be a tough one because you,
Something requiring a CDL maybe?
Oh,
We're
CDL,
gonna put a scale in, don't worry.
but you don't.
CDL comes in all sizes and weights, so.
Yeah. Probably, I don't know if you could tie it to the tag-along, double axle tag-along trailer or not, because that's what they usually haul skid steers or those types of equipment on. But,
So my concern is like, earth-moving equipment
Yeah,
generally, and
big
they
s- yeah.
often are dripping diesel
Yeah.
and grease.
and yeah, that's, I think that's what you knew we were talking about too, bulldozers and excavators and large things like that, not necessarily skid steers. A lot of these smaller companies have those skid steers. They're
But
pretty handy.
I don't see that to be as big a problem.
No, I don't
heavy
either, no,
equipment.
right, I don't either. So, yeah, we could say heavy equipment, but we might have to say what heavy equipment is.
Yeah,
Such as-
yeah, that's gonna say,
Such as-
define heavy equipment.
But such as, like Victoria just said, such as excavators and bulldozers, things like that. So that would be acceptable to your client, I'm sure.
Did we define flex? Or do we, we're going to let that float?
Yeah, I don't know that we
Well,
have
I
to.
think we're defining with what we're allowing in there.
Yeah, you're right, that's what we're doing, yeah. So the allowable uses would be storage of, storage trailers would be in there, open and enclosed, and as well as,
The Conex box.
I don't know about the ponds, but storage containers.
Yeah.
Can we put any sort of time limit on these container storage?
We can do that. Now,
I think
whether or
that
not the
we should.
building inspector would adhere to it, who's gonna say how long such and such has been in there? You can do it, we have done stuff like that before, it's just that it's a headache to regulate.
Enforce, yeah.
Well, it may be a headache, but, you have people going up and down that street, especially with the new apartment buildings going in there. It's something that I think we should be looking at.
I
You know,
wonder if, could it be mobile? So like if something is a storage container that's planted on the ground, we could speculate, we could
Yes.
require that it have wheels on it, so, because,
You gotta do something, cause I
It
can
won't
see
be
this
like an
filling up with drop-offs, and then you're got
Right.
essentially a storage facility.
Yeah, so the storage containers, I mean, that's a general issue. I've heard it in selectmen meetings. I've heard, Mike, you've been to these meetings, you've heard it, you brought it up as
Yeah.
well. What happens is they get used for storage and it's not being taxed, right?
Can't be
And
taxed.
So that's how people get around. You see a couple that are unsightly in people's yards. And it's all to really avoid paying taxes on building a shed or maybe a less expensive way of doing it. They're not very pretty, and I think that's the general concern that I've heard in many meetings. So I don't like the idea of storage containers really almost anywhere personally, but that's my view.
No, I think Mark makes a good point there, that things that could be stored in there that cannot be taxed. I mean, a trailer with a going in there, that's on a wheel, it's gonna be moved, they're just gonna move it in there, wait in the day, take the material off, and then go on, that's one thing, but there's Conex boxes and everything, you see them around town, they're not taxable,
Yep.
so that's an issue.
Is that an issue right here? I mean, for this, it's an issue because
They're an
Whatever
issue
is it?
and all, but they're an issue particularly for this one.
this one here, just
Right.
because they can't be taxed as opposed to what could go in there that could be taxed.
Well, plus there's unsightly too.
building.
No, but I'm
A
saying,
building?
what storage container could go in there that the town can tax? You're saying, you're
Nothing,
making the point that
nothing
it can't.
unless
A
it's a building.
building,
Yeah, a building could.
These
but-
are
Building can be
tech-
taxed.
Yeah, but
Containers being used as
I'm just
buildings.
trying to get to his point about,
They have all these
What's the
places
difference?
they can put the stuff.
yeah, I do know that, but I'm
Yeah, the
just,
big difference is if it's a building, you tax it. If it's not a building, if it's a Conex, like you're talking about the Conex, can't tax those.
I'm just trying to
Which
see.
is why in our mobile homes that we allow on 1 acre of land, 3 acres of land, is that we make them put it on a permanent foundation, take the wheels and the tongue off it, then it becomes a building that can be taxed.
I understand that.
That's the same
I'm just saying,
principle.
how are you using that with this particular space if nothing going in there is gonna be taxed anyway, storage-wise? I mean, you're using
And
that
that's
as
fine,
as an example.
But that's fine.
I don't think it pertains to what we're
But
talking
see,
about.
the Conex box is basically a permanent fixture versus a tractor trail and a small, what you're talking about, the double things. Trailers going there are not a permanent fixture. They're usually put in there,
I get it.
used up and then moved out.
I get it. I think most of the stuff going in there would be not permanent.
Right,
And
that's
we're talking about, back to storage containers though, that's what we're talking about. We could limit the number of storage containers in there. That might be a compromise, say they can't have more than, say, 3 storage containers in there or whatever, something like that, so it wouldn't fill up with storage containers.
Can we say
Maybe we
that
don't
it-
allow permanent storage.
No,
of
it shouldn't be
any
permanent
kind-
storage. Yeah,
any
permanent
kind of-
storage, like he said, I think it's right there, permanent storage.
Even a truck or vehicle, maybe it shouldn't be there longer than 30 days, right?
But again, who the heck's gonna monitor that? I mean,
Exactly, that's,
It's not feasible to do.
Well, Slug will have to hire a couple more court enforcement officers.
Yeah, then we'll have them tax your
Which
property
I
more to
think,
pay
yeah.
for.
They can do
So-
that, but remember, I have 100% disability tax.
Oh, we'll get around that somehow.
Yeah, okay.
What about, go ahead, Richard.
Can we, I'm going to make an assumption that the individuals that are putting whatever trailers or in anything are, people that have leased the space, and it's not Olson that's putting his stuff in there.
Not who? Wait, I know.
The client,
Oh, the client, okay,
Asher.
yeah, continue, yeah.
okay? What I don't, what I would not like to see is his equipment, his storage in this area, and it's not, if we're going to approve this, I would make the assumption that it's going to be for the individual lessees of the buildings.
What's the difference, though? I mean, storage is storage. What's the difference?
And this, I think if, what I'm driving at, I think, is if we restrict it to the lessees, then they're more inclined to be turning stuff and getting those things out there.
I see what you mean.
But
It
he's
would be long-term,
trying to guard against this becoming a warehouse area.
long-term storage, yeah.
Right.
so maybe it's just temporary storage, transient storage, right?
And
Something
like
within
Richard said,
30
just for
days.
the tenants there.
And Scott, to your point, you're right, who the heck's going to enforce it? But if we don't set that stipulation, we can never enforce it. So it does make sense to, maybe if we're concerned about that, to limit it to at least
But
a
you're putting a
period.
time limit on what, just storage containers? Because somebody renting here, we'll say I rented that spot and had a tag along, put it in there, I might wanna keep it there all the time. And, I'd use it from time to time, in and out and stuff like that, but I wanna keep it right in there.
We would hope it's being moved and stuff and not sitting there and being forgotten about.
But still, it'd be there all the time.
Yeah.
Are you gonna,
I'm sorry, if it's, say like a Bobcat, okay, you've got it parked in there. Okay, you have a job, okay, you're gonna be taking it out, and it's
Right.
gonna be out of there for a while.
Yep.
Versus a container that's sitting there, and it's gonna be sitting there all year,
I
or
get you.
whatever.
Definitely, I get
You
you.
know, I could live with, okay, he's gonna have like I say, a trailer with a Bobcat on there, and he's gonna be taking it out to do some work, and then bringing it back
So,
afterwards.
I think our sticking point is storage containers.
Right,
Yeah.
So,
that's what I'd say too.
maybe we should say no storage containers in there.
That's
and be done with it.
that's my opinion.
And I know that your client wants to put storage containers in there, but it might be a good compromise to say no storage containers on box, trucks, tag-alongs and things like that, no heavy equipment, and.
So
because-
mobile storage.
Mobile, exactly, like, I think Victoria brought that up.
And I'm wondering too, I would like us to specify that this is not an area where repairs are gonna be taking place on, we're not gonna be tearing out engines or transmissions, or, that there won't be repair of any kind of vehicle
I think
in
that's
that
fair,
space.
Other than replacing maybe a flat tire on a
Right,
truck or something.
yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right.
But yeah, strictly storage.
Yeah.
Is what they're coming in for, and strictly storage is what we're talking about.
Right.
So everybody in agreement that, it would be a good idea not to have the container storage in there,
Yes.
and just mobile storage in there.
Mobile storage.
Okay, any other questions? You know, I think we've talked that out.
That was good.
That's pretty much what's going in there, storage of permit trailers and things on the trailer once in a while. So if there's no other questions about it, there's somebody from the public here looking to us. And do you have any more to say? I may close the public hearings, what I'm getting at.
Nope.
Not yet.
Okay.
So, John, I saw the Conservation Committee also had concerns, Clearwater Pool might have used that previously as kind of a dumping area for some of their stuff. It's funny how we inherited these problems. I inherited part when I bought my house. So, I don't know if there is or isn't, but what might you, how would you comment on that?
Yeah, so anything they find, I mean,
And I'm sorry, I think there probably would be concern about what you would be doing with that soil if it is contaminated, and if you can even
yeah, if
identify
it's
it.
contaminated, basically it's gonna follow the state regulations, which is either you have to use it on site, leave it in place, or they would have to pay to get rid of it.
Okay.
I don't know what, or if you have any idea of what was dumped on, did they list for
Well,
dumpster description that they knew there was stuff dumped there?
Yeah,
or is it-
I don't, the person didn't say, but I actually personally spoke to somebody before I even knew that worked for Clearwater Pool back 10 years ago, and they used to dump like their excess chlorine and stuff like that out the back. And it's probably some of the problems that we actually see down in Wilson Pond, between that and the road salt. So whatever is disturbed, I think it really needs to be kind of controlled, that it doesn't make its way into the wetlands.
Yeah, that was actually filled in before the pool people were there. There was a restaurant there. And they're the ones that actually filled all that in.
Yeah, so,
So you'll be looking out for that type of stuff. I
Yeah,
know chlorine back there probably would make sense. if
Yeah, I'll
they're-
definitely bring it up to our client, because I don't think he knows if there's any issue with the material over on this side.
yeah.
Well, chlorine has a tendency to dissipate over time anyway.
Right.
That's its nature, so just be looking out for it, of course. They'll know if they dig into it, because there's no mistaking that smell. Okay, anything else before I close the public hearing? Then I'm gonna close the public hearing. So, here's what we have. A storage area they wanna utilize, gravel pack, storage of mobile trailers and items like, that are mobile like that. Let's see, I think.
So let's just list the
what else do we have?
conditions.
And the conditions are
No permanent storage.
no
only
storage
mobile.
containers, right?
Right, no storage
No storage
containers.
containers is what we, I think
Only
we had
mobile,
said.
only mobile storage type.
Mobile storage,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think Victoria has pretty much the list there.
I do.
You do? Let's hear it, Victoria.
So what the uses that we're permitting are for the leases or the tenants of
Yeah, that's a good point.
the other part of the development. And open and enclosed truck trailers, i.e. with wheels, are permitted for storage use. And we're also permitting overflow parking for box trucks and small pickup trucks, that style of truck,
Yep.
okay? We're excluding repair of vehicles, storage of heavy equipment such as excavators, or, earth moving equipment. And we're excluding storage containers that are not on wheeled axles.
Sounds like about it. Yep. So,
Oh, and we're also excluding any loose materials that are not enclosed or on a trailer.
right, yep. So those would be the conditions that we're talking about, if a motion is made to approve this modification. And Victoria, would you like to make that motion?
So moved.
Do you have that list of
Yes,
conditions
so
that
moved.
you just read?
Approved under that list of
And
conditions.
I think that was recorded, the list of conditions, correct? So, all right, Victoria's made a motion to approve the modification to the site plan with the conditions that she just read off. That is seconded by Richard. Is there any further discussion?
The pipe that Richard mentioned, I don't see how that could be part of this motion.
You can't, yeah, but
But,
anyways.
But I don't know what the concern is, I guess.
Let's
We just
get
don't
done
know.
with the motion, and we'll
Okay.
continue with that.
Could
Okay.
I amend my motion to add that, well,
You can
those are
amend it,
conditions,
but what do you wanna do?
I want to know what the source of water, that is currently running through the light blue culvert that's adjacent to the proposed wetland area.
Let's
Is that a second
continue,
thing?
let's continue with the motion that we have,
Okay.
that with those, and then we'll talk about that, after we get done with the motion. That was seconded by Richard, correct?
Yes.
Is there any further discussion just on the, approval and the conditions? Then all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, and you have your approval.
Thank you.
And now, yeah, about that pipe there, you said you don't know what it is. It
yeah.
sounds like it might be where the culvert's going, and was it temporary drainage, something, I don't know.
It's underground, and it goes back
And
almost
how long
towards
does it
the
look
road.
like it's been in there?
Pardon me?
Does it look like it's been in there a long time, or
No,
just recently?
it's only been put in there since they graded that out.
It is, okay.
They-
So,
They must be draining something.
yeah, through somewhere, because there's gonna be a permanent culvert, you can see it right there in the drawings.
Right.
You go from side to side,
Yeah, we have the permanent over here at the crossing.
but that's not in yet, correct?
If it's
No.
this foundation drain and they just run it down here,
But I
Might
would
be, but,
just-
if you would just check on that and get back to Adam with that for us. And again, it's not a condition of your approval, but, you work with us from time to time, so it'd be good if you would get back to Adam.
Okay.
Thank you.
And John, the concern is really primarily that wetlands there. It is critical.
Understood.
Okay, let's see, what else we have here? Under discussions and other business, we do have a vacant alternate position, and anybody knowing anyone who'd like to be an alternate on our board, ask them about it. We still do have two alternates, we have, well, Jane isn't here tonight, but we still have two alternates, but it's best if we have three, because you never know.
Might all go on vacation the same day.
It might do it, yeah, so if anybody knows of anyone, I guess they could contact Adam about that. Any other business do we have?
Yes,
Anyone? Yes, Richard?
going back to our last meeting concerning Article 3B, or B3, from the Conservation Commission on Wetlands. I'd like to get us to a situation where we reconsider what we did there and bring that back for further discussion. I'd like to see us take our own personal biases out of what we think property rights are, et cetera, and look at it more for the general betterment of the wetland and our resource of water. To cut it off, as we did this past meeting, and not have any further discussion, I think is incorrect. We have until at least November to work through this and make something that would be, I believe, agreeable to everyone. Looking at the email that Sherry sent out, or sent to Adam, and then he sent it on to us. The wetland requirements from throughout different areas in the state go up as far as 150 to 200 feet. That's not what I'm suggesting. I think an agreeable distance would be like a 50-foot, and I would change the term from buffer to setback. And with a setback, you can build up to that distance. It does not restrict you from having a lawn or haying behind or from that area into the wetland area. But that 50-foot distance will maintain water quality. It doesn't, that gives you a safety barrier from changing or disturbing the actual quality of what is existing there. And I just think that we really need to go back and look at that. And I'd like to make a motion that we reconsider B3 and have further discussion on that.
Well, I think probably setbacks are the direction to go in. I don't know about a 50-foot setback. All right, we have a 20-foot setback, side and rear, in every single zone in our zoning, we have a 20-foot setback, building setback we're talking about. So I think that's a good place to start there and have the 20-foot setback as well, building setback we're talking about.
I'd like to, could I second Richard's motion, just to get the motion on the table?
Yeah, you can second it, yeah.
I think
But-
you use it just as an example, all honestly.
But,
Yeah.
but I would really strongly hope that we postpone any detailed discussion of this topic until we have experts in our midst, meaning the Conservation Commission, who have dug into this topic really deeply. So I feel like we're not, we don't have all available information unless we have those experts available to us to help us out.
So the motion, again, to clarify, is to reconsider a vote we took at another meeting, or reconsider setbacks?
Now, reconsidering the Article B3 that was submitted by the Conservation Commission
Yeah,
concerning wetlands.
okay,
And
and
that's for further discussion.
reconsider it when we have further discussions on the zoning then? It sounds like we aren't reconsidering it right now.
Right.
You know, you're making a motion for right now, but we aren't reconsidering it right now. You're making a motion for something to happen in the future,
I
not
thought that they
decided
were
right
gonna
now.
come back anyway, because they had a bunch more work to do, and we were gonna
Well,
have another
they had a bunch of
joint meeting with
definitions,
them,
right, that they're
They
supposed to
were,
give out.
they're going to make,
you know.
they're going to make a list of definitions,
Yeah,
but you know, the way I interpreted the vote from the last meeting was that, that's it. We're not gonna discuss it any further, because I don't like the fact that we're taking 50 feet or 75 feet out of somebody's property. Well, we're not really doing that if you go to a setback.
exactly, yeah.
You know, and I think that the Conservation Commission would be agreeable to something that, of that distance. The state would say 75 feet would be better for us. 50 feet, I think, is a good compromise. And again, the setback, as we know, precludes building, parking, anything of that nature. But it does allow for you to have a backyard, you know, mow the thing, hay or whatever back there.
Mhm.
And, you know, we could also, you know, down the road, when you get going, we can say, well, you can't have any sort of chemical within certain distance, but that's for another day. But I would just like to get us back into a situation where we would be discussing this.
So your motion would be to discuss setbacks when we resume discussions about the wetlands district.
Yes, first,
Okay.
let's get
That's
get
clarified.
B3 in there.
Well, the B3 isn't for setbacks, right?
It's the buffer.
The buffer, yeah. So you're talking about setbacks, and buffer is a totally different thing.
Yeah.
So,
I'm bringing up setbacks as
A
an
compromise.
alternate to
Yeah.
the buffer. But I'd like to get B3 back to where we can discuss it on a regular basis.
okay, but B3 isn't setbacks. B3 is buffers. So if you want us to discuss setbacks, it certainly ought to be part of the motion that we're gonna discuss setbacks the next time we start discussing the wetlands conservation district. Correct?
Could I say something? My hope
Go ahead.
would be, and this is what I thought you were saying, Richard, is that we would have the opportunity to complete our discussion of buffers and consider, if appropriate, setbacks as an alternative. At that meeting, we shut down any discussion of buffers,
So we didn't go back and forth
which I
for
thought was
4 hours.
premature because we hadn't gathered all
that's
the
why.
information that we needed to make an informed decision.
Well, I don't know about you, but I have all the information that I need as well as you do, and we're gonna be deadlocked, headbutting for 4+ hours at every meeting going over buffers. It was clear that nobody wanted buffers, a majority voted on it. That's why I made the motion to do so. I'm open to hearing the setbacks as well as everybody else is, but, you know, as far as the buffers, as we voted to, do away with that.
Yeah, again, I understand your impatience, you know, and I know we all,
No,
our
it's
time
not
is
impatience,
precious
it's
to
the
all
fact
of
that
us.
nothing is
You
happening
wanted
to
to
these
get it
wetlands,
resolved.
and you just
Yeah.
wanna take away people's property rights over
But I
nothing.
think where I was hoping to have, the discussion that I was hoping to have was to step away from sort of a principled idea that it's my land and nobody can, you know, interfere with how I use it, and have it be more of a discussion of what this actually looks like. You know, can you draw me a picture of what this would, I would like to be able to see, you know, in real life, which properties in town could be affected by it, and I mean, you know, the generic property, not specifics, not yours, I mean, we could use mine.
Yeah,
I
why
have-
not specifics?
I own
Yeah.
lots of wetland, okay, so I'm happy to put it out there to look at, I own it.
It doesn't affect me personally
Yeah.
either way, to be
Yeah,
honest with
but I just feel like it's not,
Let's just
Just-
clarify the motion, though. Let's
Okay.
clarify the, because we got a
Okay.
motion and a
So-
second. Let's clarify the motion. What are we voting on? What is your motion? To bring B3 back or setbacks? One or the other. It can't be both because setbacks aren't part of B3. So, your motion is,
Okay,
just clarify your motion, because we can vote on
okay,
it, whatever it is.
let's reopen the discussion on wetlands concerning either a buffer or a setback as to the proper, to make it an agreeable
So,
warrant article.
simply put, your
I don't know
motion-
how I want to say that. for
It
sure.
sounds like, simply put, your motion is to, when we start discussing Wetlands Conservation District, is to discuss buffers and setbacks,
So,
I think.
so maybe it's to reconsider 3B and include setbacks in that discussion.
As an alternate, as an alternate, yeah, that would be fine. I think.
Okay,
I'd second that.
that's the motion, and that's your second. Is there any further discussion on that?
You could repeat it, just like that. Made a motion of the board reconsider Article B3.
And setbacks.
And to include setbacks,
To include.
and include setbacks.
And that would be the next time we discuss the Wetlands Conservation District, whenever that's gonna be.
Probably be at our joint meeting, don't you think?
Doesn't have to be, planning board, it's up to the planning board to do zoning, so it can be ongoing, like it has been ongoing. Had several meetings. So again, do you have the motion down?
So I have Wayne made a motion that the board reconsider Article B3 to include setbacks.
Let's see, I don't know if that
And
really,
to include setbacks
You said it, Mark, could you?
I think it was,
concerning buffers and setbacks.
well, we don't need a motion to discuss the setbacks. I mean, that can be brought up at any meeting. Do you
Yeah,
wanna
but I
just
think what-
clarify it that you wanna bring B3 back?
He said to reconsider 3B and include a discussion of setbacks.
Right, and have it include.
Can I interject just really fast?
Yes,
Yeah, you
thank
can.
you.
I was going to propose one final joint meeting with the Conservation Commission. Might do some good. Wanted to field some thoughts, because if we are gonna have another joint meeting, this is gonna come up again.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on another joint meeting? Throw of hand, I think they want one, so they're gonna request one anyway.
Meaning we don't need the motion is what you're getting at?
Well, I'm just saying, we won't need a
Because-
motion if we have a joint meeting, because we're gonna discuss this at a joint meeting, so.
I thought we were gonna have a joint meeting
Yeah.
with them anyway.
Yeah, that was the idea. I just wanted to get some dates proposed to Sherry so we can get that scheduled.
All right, before we do that, so there's a motion on the floor, seconded. Unless a motion is withdrawn, we have to vote on it. So what's it gonna be?
I just,
Here's the thing about me, is if you're gonna tie both into one, I'm gonna vote no. I am in favor of putting in setbacks on wetlands though. So if you wanna discuss setbacks and you wanna vote on it, then why don't you reword it so that setbacks is either taken out of that or something to that effect, because I am for setbacks, I'm just not for the buffer.
And I'm sure we're gonna discuss setbacks when we have the joint meeting here. Setbacks are a reasonable alternative, in my opinion as well, but
Yeah,
So would conditional uses only apply to buffers? And
as you guys had it written, or, yeah, you're part of the commission, right? Conservation
Yeah, but I
Commission?
wasn't part of that subcommittee.
No,
So
not part of that.
I see stuff
So-
kind of the same way you do sometimes.
As it was written in there, Yeah, buffers pertain only to the
Only to the-
conditional permit, because those are the uses taken away, but
Okay.
that will have to be
Reworded.
done over, yeah, reworded. But let's get back to the motion. I think Brandon has a point, actually, if you just keep it to, because what you want to do is you want to bring back 3B or B3, whichever one it is, to
It's-
reconsider
it's
it
B.
at our next meeting, with the Conservation Commission. And I'm sure we'll be just discussing setbacks at that meeting anyways, regardless of the motion, if that seems to be, I don't know, a holding point there.
I'll withdraw my second.
Pardon me?
I'll withdraw my second. If that would
I
help.
just want to make sure that we haven't closed that off,
Yeah.
because,
Well, as Adam said, it's probably gonna come up again.
yeah, because there,
And we didn't close it off for discussion. I think in the minutes it says we can discuss it again, or it can come up again, or whichever.
well, I asked that question
Yeah,
after the vote was taken.
and that answer to that was a yes, correct? It was not a no, it was a yes. But,
To-
yeah,
So I'm so sorry, to assist with all of this, in that draft, the newest draft of the wetlands ordinance, I didn't remove buffers, I crossed it out in red and I highlighted it.
Mhm.
And I, in the notes, it'll say like to be discussed at our next joint meeting, something to that effect. Cause there was enough interest to make that note.
yeah, okay.
And I know it will come up too,
Well,
just,
it looks like it's coming up again anyway.
Okay, so I'll withdraw it.
Withdraw the motion in our next meetings. So you're going over dates, we're gonna have another meeting with the Conservation Commission.
I have
correct?
2 proposed dates.
Okay, already, okay.
Yep.
What might they be?
September 11th, which is our first meeting in September,
What about, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Or,
No,
or October 9th, first meeting in October. Sherry is out, the second meeting in September. So those are the 2 possible dates at this time.
okay, does it make any difference to anybody as to which date?
Can we do October? September's kind
September 9th, or September 11th
of odd.
What's that?
September's kind of an odd month for me.
and October
Can we do
9th.
October 9th?
October 9th?
I could propose
Is
that.
that okay?
Won't work for you?
No?
So,
yeah, I'm fine
with any of them?
with any of them, yeah.
Michael,
Okay.
you okay with any of them?
What's the second meeting in September?
Sherry's
Sherry.
out.
Oh, right.
I'll email her and I'll have her confirm. But
Well,
as far as
that's,
I know, she's out.
September 11th is the first one then, that's not a lucky date. I would have
Not
to
a lucky
say.
day, I know.
So,
And
and then October 9th is the other one. I guess it
Yes.
doesn't matter to
Yeah.
me either. You can't make the 9th, and you might not be able to make this 11th, or you can.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I could make the 11th if that's all that Sherry has.
Let's
available.
tentatively set it for the 11th, and then if we miss that one, we can go for the
Yep.
9th.
September 11th?
Yeah, September 11th for that joint meeting.
And then if that doesn't work, October 9th.
So,
Okay.
just a word to the Conservation Commission is that this should be the final draft coming from you guys, because you've done it a couple of times to us. You've like gone over the whole thing and start discussing it. We're discussing one thing, and Jay's discussing another thing. Well, I got a whole list here of this and that, so one final revision by those guys, and that's in on the 11th, and that's the end of the final revisions. After, until the planning board makes revisions. That sounds fair? I think it is, because we don't know what we're discussing when they come in and do it. They did it last year, and they did it this past time we were discussing here, we didn't know what they're talking about. So, have them make their final revisions, bring them into us, and that's what we'll be discussing from now until
When do we,
Doomsday.
I'm sorry, when do we start finalizing our warrant articles? Is that the first part of November, or is it December?
I don't know if
There's
there's
a
a specific
deadline.
date for
What's the
that.
deadline?
It's in November. They haven't released the calendar for this year
That we have to have
yet.
the public hearings done.
No.
Yeah, public hearings can start in November, so probably our first meeting in November, I need to confirm that, I think it's our first meeting in November. It might be October, I don't have solid dates yet, because
All right.
NHMA doesn't have their list out yet, so.
And then we'll wait on that, I guess.
Mhm.
I don't know yet, but
Yeah,
in November sometime.
It's either late October or early November, it's in that timeframe.
Probably gonna be
I just
November.
want to make sure we have sufficient time from their last proposals for us to, go through it thoroughly.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, that's why we do our homework. If we get it in advance from Adam, then we can read the whole thing and be prepared to discuss it, rather than getting it that very next day when we don't know what's going on. That's why I said that.
I just don't want to be blindsided again like we were this past year with the selectmen and everybody.
Well,
that,
yeah.
at that meeting. You
Yeah.
know, we didn't get a chance to do anything, or read through it or anything.
Speaking of homework, you know that those two articles that Adam forwarded to us from the conservation, that Sherry had suggested?
Oh,
that we
no,
read?
I thought you meant article to vote on. No, I know what you mean now, yeah.
So one of them is buffer options for the bay. I found this to be, I really strongly recommend everybody read this. And one of the things that surprised me that I didn't know, and I thought I knew a fair amount about this topic, is the whole idea of the effectiveness of pollution reduction by green infrastructure as compared to gray infrastructure, which is the stuff we're always, reviewing. I didn't realize the significant financial benefits of using wetlands to clean water relative to actually constructing stuff to do that. So if you read that, if you go through that article, you'll come to a section where it talks about green infrastructure, and it's probably gonna be really interesting to you. So, there's a lot to learn, so strongly recommend it.
I know one of those articles was quite
I've got
lengthy.
one last thing, if I can, Mr. Chair.
Just a second. What were you saying?
I was gonna say, I know one of those articles was quite lengthy, and I started reading it and browsing other parts of it and all that, and I found it quite informative. I would hope everybody would at least do some due
Yeah,
diligence.
If
in
you can
looking
read
at
it, I think that you go on from the Bay one was out several years ago. I think I read it then, back when it first came out. And I'll read it again. I haven't read it lately this time, but read it again. But if everyone could read those two articles, I suppose, before our September 11th meeting.
I did some cliff notes, if anybody would, I boiled it down to 3 pages, if that would be helpful.
Wow.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, could you give Adam a copy of that? And
Sure.
let's get a
Yeah.
copy.
Great, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that's perfect.
She's my hero.
Yeah, my bias for private property rights that Richie was mentioning comes from the U.S. Constitution on Article 5 and 14th Amendments, and the New Hampshire Constitution under 12A. That's where my bias comes from the Constitution. Because private property rights are enshrined in both our constitutions.
Okay. And
So I need to see where something doesn't violate those private property rights, which is enshrined in the Constitution.
so if you could bring a copy of those in, we'll have a copy of other stuff in for the board, for us to look
Sure.
at too, for the September 11th
Or
meeting before
anybody,
that.
anybody can
Yeah,
look at
but
the
I mean,
Constitution.
the ones that you're talking about
Right,
specifically,
15.
you could, email it to Adam, we'll have all that information, we can discuss it in the next meeting.
Yeah.
Great, good, thank you.
See, and
Under
Mike, I
your-
look at it just slightly different, right? I
Well,
mean,
we aren't discussing buffers.
I know.
We're gonna do it at the meeting.
So I
That's
just-
not for
Property
buffers.
yeah,
rights.
no, but actually, I just want to make the point on, I think there's a difference between taking somebody's property rights and limiting the property rights for the betterment of a broader community. And that's kind of maybe where we part a little bit on our thinking. I just wanted to
Probably
make,
is.
just wanted to make
Well,
that point.
yeah, and I can understand if you can show that somebody using their property rights that affects somebody else, certainly, because we do that with our laws to a point. Okay, so one would have to show to me that those buffers that we put in place are actually gonna stop something, a pollution or something like that.
Yeah, but after the fact is
Because,
not
you
the
know,
way to do it.
if you have the
Well,
buffers.
just
the
prove
way
that
you
it's
want,
happening now.
Yeah.
I mean, if you prove it's happening now, then yeah, it might stop it, but if you can't prove it's happening now, then I'm with him.
We could write all laws and rules for prevention, but
But
then
you
we
know,
wouldn't be able to do
I
it.
always come back to these really complicated engineering studies that we approve of. We don't know that they work. I mean, we know that it's the best available science, the best available, they're working to the highest possible professional standards, but we don't go out there and test the water or, find out if they're polluting, other water sources. We have to work according to the best available information that we have, and that's the advantage of those two articles that Sherry sent to us, because they do enumerate the best available knowledge that we have. So I think if you read through those, then you'll have a better sense of, what, maybe you have already, I don't know. But they really explain stuff. I mean, we do have data to prove that these things function as we are told they function. There's buckets of supporting evidence. So that's not a question, okay, any more than, our engineering studies are a question. We just have to trust the science on both of those things.
Yep, trusting engineers, I guess. Anything else other than buffer discussions? No? Then a motion to adjourn is in order.
So moved.
favor, indicate by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, and we're adjourned. You had nothing else, right, Adam? Okay, good.
God, no. Not crazy.
Not anymore, yeah. Too late now.
The one time I can make it home for bath time, I'm not gonna ruin that.